a little side note before we begin. This video was put on hiatus a while back, so at the time of the original script, the earlier parts being made, the Pride art was more new, and everything else was recorded like way earlier, like a month ago. So that's just another thing. Sorry this took so long to make. I got distracted and stopped working on it. My bad. The Vivziepop universe is definitely one that's never short on controversy. Whether it's about something stupid that the creator did, the very flawed writing, or just something Twitter users thought up, there's almost always something causing drama across various social media platforms. The subject I'm talking about today has definitely been at the center of said controversies and is typically used as one of the reasons to hate the show. And that subject is queer people. Now, just to clear up my stance on the matter, I myself am actually part of the LGBTQ community, so this doesn't come from a standpoint of I'm criticizing her work because of queer people in the show, or because Vivziepop herself is queer. Also, this video is mainly on a basis of things I find pretty questionable when it comes to her representation of queer individuals. It isn't necessarily all factual information. Whether you completely disagree with me on the topic or agree 100%, thank you for watching the video. With that out of the way, let's delve right into the actual topic of discussion. So, if you've ever seen anything that Vivziepop has created, you'd know that there's no shortage of queer people. In fact, many people would argue that there's actually too many queer people being shown. Side note, another funny thing about that is that there is almost no lesbians in Helluva Boss, canonically confirmed, besides Sally Mae and, like, the teacher and the demon lady. But they're not even, like, lesbians, they're just a sapphic couple, so I don't really know what to tell you. Almost every character is in some way queer. What do I think about this? Well, I have two different stances on it. The first one is that yes, I do think that nearly every character being queer is a little bit overkill. However, I also do believe that since it's her shows, she has a lot to do whatever she wants with the characters in them. Usually, no one bats an eye when every character is straight, so why should this be any different? The question remains, is all the representation shown good representation? And the answer is no, not really. Now I know, don't come at me with pitchforks and stuff. I'm not at all saying that Vivziepop's representation is all horrible or inaccurate. However, for shows that put diversity at their core, the stereotypes these shows play into are honestly not good. This entire idea has been the subject of plenty of Twitter threads and posts, as well as what I'm assuming includes many other video essays like this one. The character Angel Dust, gay man, was specifically discussed as being just downright revolting to some other gay men. There is one specific Twitter post from SA Survivor that I had come across months ago, but unfortunately wasn't able to find again. Angel, to any that weren't aware, is
an adult video star
who dresses very feminine and is seen multiple times making very uncomfortable
Pansexual
gestures and comments to some of the cast, such as Husk and Alistair. He is also depicted as a drug addict, although during this actual series on Prime Video, it's shown that he's trying to recover and overcome his addiction. This plays into multiple negative stereotypes of gay men that are pretty eyebrow-raising to a lot of people to have even been included in these shows. Something that a lot of people have commented about is the fact that Angel isn't meant to be a perfect person and has reasons for being sent out. While this is technically true, there are other ways to go about demonstrating this that don't involve stereotypes that have damaged the public perception of gay men for years. In fact, most of the gay men in the Vivziepop universe are feminine and constantly demonstrate
Pansexual
behaviors. Raleigh, who truth be told I hadn't actually expected to be gay, is a better demonstration of a gay man. However, he's still pretty and very theatrical. In any case, the depiction of these characters is really just blatant stereotyping and kind of ridiculous to me. Souls also plays into several stereotypes of gay men. He's dramatic, uses substances, and is pretty effeminate. As a character, most people really like Solus. He's a fun character, he has good story, and to be a little more generous, technically the only reason he's like that is because he believed what was wanted. It doesn't really excuse the use of so much stereotyping. To any gay man out there, let me know what you think about this, as I'd love to hear anyone else's take on the situation as well. And also, tell me any details I might have missed. Before I move on, I'd just like to say some positive things about Vivziepop in terms of representation, and some characters I thought were great in that regard. Most of the bisexual characters in both Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss do a good job of showing bi representation. For the most part, they don't really play into any harmful stereotypes. One thing I love about Helluva Boss is the subtle trans representation in the show. There's lots of background transgender imps, and they don't make it all front and center and make a big deal out of it. The less subtle representation, Sally Mae, not only is a great representation of a trans woman, also a fun and interesting character. I loved her in the Hell's Bells short, and honestly thought it was really fun. Husk, in terms of pansexual representation, which the next segment is about, since I have a lot to say about that, is pretty good. I won't talk much about why, as that's what the next segment is about, but I believe that Husk is one of the best cases of pansexuality either show has demonstrated so far. Beelzebub is another example of pretty solid pansexual representation, and last but not least, Octavia. I was so happy when she finally made canonically ace. It was just a nice little touch I think a lot of fans were very happy about. Now back to the things I do not like. This is the one that gets under my skin quite a bit. Vivziepop's pansexual representation. Vivziepop has arguably some of the most stereotypical, negative pansexual representation I've literally ever seen. Let me read off some common stereotypes of pansexual people. Overly
Smexual.
no dedication to relationships, often unfaithful partners, and would
Do the devil's tango.
with anyone and anything. Sound familiar? Yeah. Now, let me list off canonically pansexual Vivziepop characters that demonstrate some or all of these traits. Blitz, Chaz, Valentino, Rosca, Osmodeus, and Barbie Wire somewhat, considering we haven't seen her much. And in case you didn't notice, that is literally 6 of the 8 pansexual characters Vivziepop has created. And that isn't good. Like, at all. In the official Pride Month art Vivziepop released, Chaz had a shirt that said, "If you can't see why it's a bad thing, well, needless to say, the way Vivziepop presents pansexual people isn't correct or in any way positive. Minus Husk and Beelzebub, who don't have
Sex.
as one of their main character traits. And just so everyone is aware, I don't really think that having a stereotype as part of your character is that bad of a thing. There's nothing wrong with your characters being a little flawed, but when the biggest part of your character is the stereotype, that's when it becomes a problem. Just like with the MLM characters, the problem isn't the existence of the stereotype, but the fact that the stereotype is so present that it's the most vital part of their character. These characters are genuinely good characters, the exception being Chaz, as I genuinely didn't like anything about him besides his design. For the most part, they all have character depth. Again, the exception being Chaz, and with the addition of Valentino, because we don't really know anything about his life before, and all he is really just the absolute worst to Angel. The problem isn't really the actual characters, but just the fact that they're essentially just a manifestation of these stereotypes. Actually, there's plenty of pansexual people out there that actually act like this, and MLM people. I'm not going to deny that, but using that as a key character element for these characters, really, it all just seems like it comes down to the fetishization of queer people, but that's outrageous and completely untrue stereotyping. There are lots of shows with amazing queer characters that actually make people feel seen and represented. And another thing, Vivziepop seems to care about male SA survivors, but when it comes to playing it out between these queer characters as an edgy joke, she's all for it. Overall, instead of the takeaway from this is that it's okay to have a bunch of queer characters. It's okay to play into some stereotyping, but glorifying, supporting, and pushing out these harmful ideologies does literally nothing for the queer community except put them back right where they started. But yeah, I just wanted to get my 2 cents in because I feel like this topic isn't really talked about as much as I think it should be, especially in Helluva Boss. It's more talked about Hazbin Hotel, specifically surrounding Angel's Us. And so, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, if I missed anything, you would think there's ways I could improve the style or just anything about the video, let me know, because I might be making more of these in the future if any topics come up that you guys would like me to cover or do a video essay about. But anyways, thanks for watching, and make sure to like and comment. It would really help a lot.